Hi, everyone, and welcome to Divinely Empowered with Antonia. Today's lovely guest is Sam, also known as the Gladiator of Love. Hello, Sam, and welcome.
Hi, Antonia. Thank you so much for having me. Very excited to be here.
Thank you. So Sam's another one of the amazing people that I met at Mind, Body, Spirit. I've met her a couple of times there over the years. There's all a little community of Mind, Body, Spirit people who know one another. So Sam does something quite sweet and beautiful. She writes these love letters. Tell us about what they are and just give us an overview about what they are, and then tell us how you got into them, if you don't mind. Then we'll go into more depth a bit later, if that's okay.
Absolutely. So while we're at the event, we write anonymous letters and encourage people to sit down with us and write these anonymous letters. And they're really letters of inspiration, motivation, love, whatever you want to say to another human being, completely anonymous. They go in an envelope with an invitation for someone to open it, and we leave them around the event for people to pick up and find. And we also do this just in everyday life. I have on Instagram, me and my friend go out and we put them in all different places, and I post pictures on Instagram of where they are. And yeah, it's just a beautiful way of sharing the love and connecting one human to another human, because we're all speaking from the heart. So
what sort of things do you say in one of these letters then?
They're all different, really. So sometimes they're really short, just giving them a positive message to sort of change their day, and sometimes they're much longer. So yeah, it all depends, really. So I do have a book. Called 100 Letters.
Let's get there in a minute. We'll get to your offerings at the end.
And I can read you one of those letters.
Oh, okay. Why don't we? Yeah, yes. Read me one of the love letters, and we'll get more about the book at the end. But let's listen to
it's a collection of some of the letters that I've written over the years that I've taken photos of. So if I just pick one at random, okay. So because they're all different. So this says, for you, you can always choose. Choices are a gift for each human being. If that choice is taken away from us for some reason, then you always have love. Hold that close to your heart and mind to give you strength and fortitude to carry on. Your strength is your power. Your power is your strength. Love is power.
Thank you.
So that's a letter that went into an envelope and went out to someone. Yeah, and they never have a name on, so we don't know who it's come from, or the finder doesn't know who it's come from, that's the beauty of it, I think.
Sort of paying it forward.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's super cute. So how on earth did you get into this?
I know, it seems random, right? Like over the years, people were like, why did you start this? And I was like, it was an accident.
What happened? Tell us the story.
So I have a medical condition called ankylosing spondylitis. It's a type of arthritis where your spine fuses together from the top and the bottom and sort of meets in the middle. It's like a fusing process. And for many years, I was going to a physiotherapy group at the hospital. And one particular day, I'd come from work. I used to go there to like a weekly group with other people with the same condition for physio, like after their normal hours. And I'd left work, and at that particular time I was working in a school. Had a really stressful job. I was working with children with social emotional issues, doing pastoral support, life skills, supporting parents. As you can imagine, the types of families that I was working with, very young families in poverty, teenage mothers, etc. And I went to the hospital. It's 5 o'clock in the evening. I was super exhausted. And I sat there thinking, oh my God, I have to go into this room and sit with all of these other people who are always depressed and always complaining about how ill they are. And actually, I just want to go in, do my exercises and go, you know. And it got to that point where I was actually finding it more depressing to go there and be around these people than actually manage my illness, right? And there was a piece of paper on the table in the waiting room, and I just wrote on it, I hope you have a good day. And I left it on the table. It was like a little spark in me, right? This little spark. And I left it on the table. And when I came out from the session, this piece of paper had gone. So I sort of, you know, it lit something in me. And then from then on, every week, every time I walked through the hospital, I would leave a little note, either in the waiting room or one of the waiting areas along the corridor. It's a really, really long corridor. And yeah, I just started leaving these notes saying, everything's going to be fine. You're going to be okay. Keep smiling, all sorts of just things like that on a piece of paper.
Yeah.
And I was doing that for several months. I never told anyone in the group I was doing that. I was really hoping one of them grumpy people was going to pick one up.
And feel a little bit better and be a bit less grouchy.
Yeah, right. And one day I was writing, I started to write a note to take to the hospital with me, actually turned into a letter. And I grabbed an envelope and I just put it in the envelope, and I wrote on the envelope, "To you, open me." And I left it on the shelf in the corridor before I went into the physio department. And when I come out, it had gone. And I was like, oh my God,
it's working.
This is exciting. and that's how it went on for several months. And I didn't tell anyone that I was doing it. Nobody at all in my life knew that I was doing that. And it felt like I was sort of secret squirrel, and I was doing
like a secret Santa. No one knows it's you, isn't it? It's sort of
right?
like a day-to-day secret Santa.
Yeah. And then I've been doing it for months, and then I had this epiphany moment one day where I wrote this letter without even really being very conscious of what I'd written. Read it back to myself before putting in the envelope and went, oh my God, I'm writing to myself. And then realized, oh, all this time I've been writing to other people in the hospital saying, you're going to be okay. Really, I was writing them to me. And it was like a sort of like a ooh sort of moment. Wow. And then it was at that point I did share it with a friend, like, oh, I've had this epiphany moment. And then we just sort of grew from there, started writing them with friends, started leaving them in our local area. And so that was 2012 was when I first started writing them. 2014 was when it really sort of turned into the movement and went to Mind Body Spirit with a sort of table near the door, and it just sort of grown from there. It's just been magic, really, you know.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's a lot of fun, isn't it?
It really is. It really is. And it's really taken me on a personal journey as well, because when I first started doing it, I was obviously in a stressed out place, you know, managing this job, managing my health. I was in a lot of pain all of the time, from the condition, a lot of fatigue as well, and a lot of that was to do with the job, really.
Right.
You know, managing the job and managing my health, right, and working in education is
a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot. And as I was writing these letters, as time went on, I started to realize this job's not okay for me.
Right.
This is
Sucking your
really,
joy.
yeah, sucking my joy. Exactly. That's exactly what it was doing.
A lot of
And
jobs do.
yeah, right. And I basically just left after, you know, 2.5 years of writing these letters. I'd gone in through a process of like falling in love with me through writing these letters, that I then thought I'm really worth more than that. And I walked away from 14 years in education.
So it gave you confidence. Is that the major way that it's affected your mental health, or has it had other benefits as well? So it's boosted your confidence and made you sort of fall in love with yourself again. Is that sort of, that's what I'm gauging from? Okay, what else?
Yeah, exactly. And because of that, I realized that I was having a lot less fatigue. So it impacted me that way, and I started to do some research around, you know, how it's impacting me on that level. Less fatigue, less, I mean, my skin started to glow more, my hair got better, and I started to go, this is absolutely fascinating.
You know what it was? Have you worked it out? Because I know what that all is.
Well, it's the called, because I had very, very high levels of cortisol in my blood. I was getting blood tests all the time, very high levels of cortisol, and because of all the positivity that I was doing, and then constantly telling myself I love you and writing letters I love you, it obviously was in all those endorphins.
Serotonin, dopamine.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. All of the endorphins were flooding my system and getting rid of all of that cortisol that was
because,
very
you know,
high.
So the I can talk to you about this as well. So people misunderstand this in mental health, which I think is a really interesting thing to be talking about. So let's go into this side of it. So obviously they say a lot of mental health is to do with hormone imbalances. You know, they say depression or stress, we've got cortisol, we've got, you know, we don't have enough oxytocin, you've got too much of this, too little of that, various different hormones. What causes the hormones imbalance? So it's a two-way street. So it's the hormones that cause us to be stressed, and it's the stress which causes us to create the hormones. But actually, more often, it's really our thoughts. And I talk about gas, liquid, solid, and I talk about it in my book. I talk about it in general. But basically, our thoughts go and create different things in our bodies. So stress, like the thought of stress, a thought of something really upsetting you, then creates cortisol, adrenaline, noradrenaline, those sorts of hormones. And that is a liquid. It creates from the gas, a thought is a gas, it creates a liquid, which is a hormone is a physical liquid. And then that then goes into, there's enough of it, it compresses and becomes different diseases within your body. But it's your thoughts creating the hormones, which is very, very interesting. So what you did in a very sensible way is you decided and took ownership and chose to change your thoughts. You decided to go down the really positive route of helping others and being service to others and being kind and loving. And that meant that you started creating better hormones in your system, which then meant and mitigated the stress hormones and actually calmed your pain and actually improved your condition exponentially, it sounds. So that's a real, you know, this is the thing people should know about the power of positive thinking. This is it in action, by being kind to others, by being of service. And this is, they say they've got an interesting thing called the Harvard study of happiness. And it's a really interesting study. I talk about it in my book, but it's really interesting because it's the longest running study they've ever done. And what they do is they find out, they want to know what causes people to be happy and what changes in people's health as people progress. So, but it's called the Harvard Study of Happiness. And they started with people who were living on the streets. Some of them didn't have hot and cold running water, who were living in Boston. And then they had Harvard students who were quite well to do and you know, quite well off and privileged. And they asked these same people for, it's been going on for, I think, 80 something years, around that sort of time. It's the longest standing study there is. And they're doing 3 or 4 generations now, but they keep asking the same questions. Many of them have died off and they've gone to children and whatever it is. So so they've actually managed to, then they just were asking about happiness and did these questionnaires, and they've made it much more in depth now. And they're starting to look at, they've got doctors involved and they're checking their blood pressure, checking their hormones, checking their medical conditions. They have to fill in these different forms and different things. And what's really interesting is it's the only study ever which is not having to predict. So you've got people in their 50s and they're looking at octogenarians, people in their 80s. So, you know, you're thinking, what is causing people to have high blood pressure, heart issues, all these different things? And rather than hypothesizing, they can actually look at what's going on people in their 50s and then what's going on people in their 80s, because they've got the data, because they've done these years of studying and research. And it's really interesting. And the single most thing which actually causes poor health isn't the things that we think it is, because we're thinking maybe it's bad diet. Obviously, this is, have a good diet. It's very important to have a good diet, but it's about, the main thing is having love in your life and being service to others. If you feel happy in your relationships, doesn't mean that you have to be married, but you just have to feel safe and happy and that you have people to depend upon. If you have that and you really are helping other people in the community and are happy because you're being of service, that is the most important thing to your health in your 80s. It's none of the other stuff that we assume it would be. It's literally having love in your heart. It's as simple as that. And this is you actually proving that, because your health is improved exponentially, your happiness is improved exponentially, and your stress is gone. So really, you know, you do get happy hormones by doing things which are kind to others. Go and volunteer somewhere, go and do something for someone else. And I think we become so much more lost and lonely when we become our own island. When we become the center of our universe, it messes with our heads and causes our own illnesses. And if we spend lots of our time, you know, being worried about whatever's going on, or really focusing on our health and our poor health, and really you're actually making it worse in a large way. And if you can just be kind and of service, you actually improve your health, and when your mental health improves, your physical health improves, and then they just escalate together. So it's a really interesting thing that you've gone and done. It's beautiful.
I mean, I really noticed it when I was in this group, you know, and I mean, and I'd been going for years, and I'd just got to that saturation point where I was like, can we all just, you know, stop complaining, guys? Can we talk about something a bit more positive?
We've got addicted to talking about our woes, not our joy.
And it was like,
we really need to not be like self-involved talking about our woes. And it's as intense as that sounds for people, the more what energy flows where your intention goes. So it's that way around. So you just need to make sure that you're not building more of the same thing. The more you're worried about being poorly, the more poorly you're going to become. And it's that simple. So you need to be talking about your joys, not your woes. Really, really, really fundamental to good health. And get on with it, and just go and produce things, go and help other people. It makes you feel so much better in your heart, which then makes you feel so much better in your body.
And I stopped going to that group, you know, after a period of time, when I realized the difference these letters are making in my life. And my consultant that I would see once a year, who's now retired, but I'd, you know, been seeing for like 20 years, several times a year. And he even said to me a couple of years after this sort of transformation, said to me, like, I don't know what it is that you're doing, but whatever it is you're doing, keep doing that. You know, because obviously he doesn't want to know what I'm really doing.
So has your condition improved then? What did he say about your condition?
So, like, the blood tests look great. You know, I've never had blood tests like it. You know, the inflammation's gone down in the blood tests, and the cell count, everything, you know, everything's sort of what they call normal, you know. However, I mean, I have what they refer to as mechanical damage, right? Because I still have physical fusing, you know. I've got 3 vertebrae fused here, my hips and sacroiliac are fused together. But I just don't seem to have the levels of pain that other people that are similar to me within the same department have. And
so you heard it here first, everyone. Be kind to other people and reduce your pain. She is living proof of this. Congratulations, Sam. That's amazing.
Thank you.
Just by really being kind to others and really thinking of other people's first, you've actually mitigated many of your symptoms, it seems.
Yeah. So, you know, I can't say I've cured myself. I can't say that, because I wouldn't say that, because I'm physically you're very apparent, right?
yeah, there's damage.
And that's never gonna.
What was your pain? Right? Should we just to sort of scale, just to make it make sense to our lovely audience? What was your pain on average daily out of 10 before, when you were going to the group, and what is it now, for example?
I would say my pain was pretty much off the charts, really.
So a 10.
Normally an 8, and a lot of days a 10 easily. An 8, and between an 8 and a 10 would be an average. And I was on painkillers, and I was on tramadol and paracetamol and anti-inflammatories, and now I have these crazy statuses that pop up on Facebook where I was saying some drug-addled thing in the middle of the night, and I'll read it and think, okay, I was so high, right? you know, and I share them on Facebook saying highly medicated thoughts. And I look back, 10 or it's like 15 years ago, and I look back and I think, how did they let me work with children?
So what's your pain now, would you say?
I would say these days a 1 or a 2.
And you think is this something, just to qualify it again for people, is this something that ever gets better? It no. Sounds like it's a permanent sort of illness.
It's a permanent thing. And
so it doesn't.
Obviously now I'm very much aware of managing. So I don't. Are you
still on the painkillers, or are you off the painkillers?
Oh no, I don't take painkillers. I don't take.
So going from it, this is fascinating, because you've gone from a sort of an 8 to a 10 on the daily down to a 1 to a 2, and you attributed that just from really being kind to yourself and other people.
Yeah, absolutely, because I'm not working a full-time job. I would never go back into a full-time job. I'm doing work for myself. I don't put loads of things in a day, so I pace myself, so I'm not going at
million miles an hour.
Exactly, and I eat well and I drink lots of water, so everything is really about looking after me, and then the focus on doing these letters all of the time.
Do you do them, write them daily? How often do you write a letter? How does it work? What sort of structure with it?
So some days I might sit down and write a few. Other days that I like now, I don't write them every day, right? But there'll be days where I'm like, I'm feeling a little bit, there's something not right. I'm feeling off, right? And I'm like, okay, write a letter.
You are literally turning that frown upside down, aren't you?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Because I always think, if I'm going through something, write it in a letter, because someone else out there is also going through it. It's a reflection. So if I put it into a letter, that letter's going to go to whoever, and it goes in my bag, or it goes into my car. And when I find a spot, and I think that's exactly where a letter's going to go. And
so do you just sort of just put them around the country, or where do they end up?
Yeah. So we in shops. I put them in shops loads. Places like Asda, behind the nappies. So if you've got young mothers
who are overloaded.
Yeah, exactly. And then a letter will be saying, this is to you, open me. So I put them in Wilco a lot, to the point that, you know, I have to have breaks from going in there because the security guard follows me around. Because he's like,
well, I mean, you're the worst shoplifter in the world. You're actually giving stuff away. You're a reverse shoplifter.
Because I'm trying to look for a really good spot to leave it. So
I know, and you're like, yeah, he's obviously thinking that you're doing something nefarious. That's hilarious.
Right. Yeah, lots of different shops that we put them in, and put them on pay and display meters in car parks.
So when you say we, who's the we?
Oh, so me and my friend Molly and Kelly both help me when we do the Mind Body Spirit festivals. They're both there with me. We're called the Love Crew. So yeah, they're both doing it separately, and then we also come together and hang out and do it. So
this sounds like a great little project for people to do. So if anyone here is feeling miserable in any way, turn that phone upside down and write someone a love letter of everything that you would want to hear. Write that for somebody else, and then it's like nourishing your inner child.
Yeah,
and do that for a few days, and why not see how you feel? You know, does that improve your mental health? And then in turn, does that improve your physical health? Because you might be surprised, and it's worth having an experiment.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And we encourage people, you know, when we're sitting at our table, you know, at the festival, and people come and sit with us and write the letters, and then they say, is it all right if I do this? And we're like, yeah, of course, like, take it away, like, start it in your own wherever you live, in your area. You know, the world needs more love, so take it away and do it in your area. And over the years, you know, people have come back to us and said, oh, you know, I sat down with you last year, and since then I've been writing them and leaving them where I live, or I leave them around my workplace and no one knows it's me. And it gives me such a thrill.
Yeah, that's really soul affirming, isn't it? And rewarding.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, just like, it's changed our lives, it's changed other people's lives, you know. We know that when we have got communications from someone through Facebook or Instagram, you know, there's been the odd message over the years saying, I found this letter, was it from you? You know, and it might not have been specifically from me, but when I sort of see the area it was in, I can be like, oh yeah, I probably know who's left that.
So you've inspired lots of people. You've got these little secret love letter Santas all around the country.
Exactly. Yeah, I've got friends all around the country are doing it in different areas, you know. Yeah, and the beauty of it is that none of us own it. It's a universal idea. Anyone can do it. Love is free, you know, right? So,
and you know, an exceptionally valuable thing, if not the most valuable thing. Health and love are the two most valuable things that there are. For sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Youth.
So,
you know, health and the same.
So from that, you know, from me leaving my job, and then obviously having a period of recovery from the burnout, and then I thought, you know, what do I really want to do with my life? You know, in my 30s, I've spent all of this years training and then working in education. What do I really want to do? And I just done alternative therapies for my own research. I thought, you know, I'm going to do some Reiki just for me. And then I ended up going on and training as a Reiki master teacher.
Okay.
And then I thought, oh, do you know what I'm interested in? EFT. Like, what's with EFT? Why does it work? You know? And then I ended up doing an introduction and then going on to train as an EFT practitioner. So I've just sort of done that, followed whatever I love to do, and gone on from there, you know. So just from that really moment of saying I love me, you know. Right. Yeah.
We need more of I love me in the world, I swear to God.
Mm,
I think it's really
yeah.
important, and I think that we're not allowed to. I think that that's a nefarious thing from the dark side, to, you know, saying that was one of the teases from school, like, you love
Right.
yourself.
Yeah, right.
You know, and I remember them trying to tease me at school with, you love yourself. And I remember saying, yes, don't you love yourself? And then wanting to give the bullies a hug. And it really messes with bullies' heads when you say, don't you love yourself? Can I give you a hug? That was hilarious, because it was
Right.
the thing is, don't be an asshole. That's the thing. But everyone needs to love themselves, not be completely egotistical and difficult, but certainly love yourself, and certainly be proud of your achievements, and certainly strive to do things which are kind and helpful and beautiful, and then, you know, bring beautiful things into the world and be proud of them when you do. I think that's vital. And I think people should strive for that and do the best that they can. Paint a beautiful picture and be proud that you've painted something beautiful. Write a beautiful love letter which helps people, and be proud of your achievements. I think it's a beautiful thing to love yourself.
Yeah.
And to be happy within your own skin. And I think it does start, you know, if you don't love yourself, how the hell are you going to love anybody else? According to RuPaul. But I agree with it. I agree with it. How the hell are you going to love everybody else? Yeah. So that's fun. All right. Can you read us another love letter, please?
Absolutely. Yes. I'll pick again at random. Okay. This is another shorter one. Dearest you, this is a reminder to focus on the love around you. Look for the joy in the little things. The birds singing, the butterfly floating past, a smile from a stranger. The universe sends you love to make you feel a bit stronger. I love you.
Oh, that's so sweet. I've got chills.
Yeah.
So tell me about let's see more about this book. Show me the book.
So this is the 100 Letters to a Stranger.
Beautiful.
That is, as I said, it's a collection of the 100 of the letters that have been written.
Yeah.
In the very early days, I used to take photos a lot of the letters. If I felt like, oh, that hasn't come from me, you know, I would take photos of it. Which I was pleased that I did.
So it's almost like free writing, I think they call it.
Yeah. So sometimes I will be like, oh, I didn't write that. You know, I'm going to take a photo of that because it means something. So that is
being an open conduit for the divine. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Right.
So that's available where books are sold. I've got a small number available on my website as well.
All of her details, her books and everything will be in the description below, so don't worry if you've missed it.
Yeah, so there's that one, and I also tell the introduction is about why I started writing the letters, you know, so I've got a little story about that. And then my other book that came out last early November, that's called Calm Up.
Activate your calm.
Activate your calm. And that is a collection of little stories about me and things that I've gone through. And then I'm talking about if you've been through something similar, this is how you could deal with it. You know, I'm giving little tips. It's got journaling reflections in there. It's got, very interestingly, it's got these symbols in it. So it's got a collection of these symbols. That's my main symbol. This is
right. What does it mean?
My main symbol. I've been drawing that since I was 4 years old, right? With some other symbols as well that I just used to doodle and I used to draw. And then, and I sort of say in the introduction here, a note on the symbols in the book. I went to this workshop in 2016 with someone called Jennifer Hoff. She's from Canada. She was just over here. She's like a medical intuitive. She was over here doing a series of workshops. I thought, why not just go along, see what she's into. We was doing a healing activation, 30 minutes, just knocked out. I was sitting right at the front. When I opened my eyes, she'd drawn some symbols on this board, and I was like, oh my God, 2 of those symbols, I've been drawing those since I was like 4 years old.
Oh.
One of them, that first one that I drew, and another one, and I was like, that sort of blew my mind a little bit, that she's drawn my symbols up on the board. And I was like, oh. And then she said to everyone, okay, who do these belong to? And I was all tentative, oh, 2 of them belong to me, this one and this one. And she said, oh, while we was doing the healing activation, they was bouncing around the room as a hologram. And I was like, what? I was like, okay. And she said, you know, they're all of these 6 that I've drawn, you know, they're healing codes. And there's 23 DNA healing codes. And 6 of them were bouncing around the room. And I said, well, I know those 2, right? Nobody else claimed any of the others. Everyone was like, you know. And so I started to remember what are the other shapes that I drew growing up, you know. And I remember, oh, there were 6 different sort of symbols that I just used to draw all of the time on my school books. I was always getting told off for defacing my books, just forever. And it was really interesting. And she said, like, every time you was drawing them, it's because you was looking for comfort and security. You was trying to heal yourself. And I was like, that's very interesting. So I've basically put the 6 symbols in between the chapters in that book.
That's
so you can look at them and meditate on them or whatever, you know.
Do they have specific meanings, do you know, or like one of them love and one of them something else, or don't know yet.
No idea. But that first one, I've got that 3 times, beginning, middle and end. I actually had it made into a necklace a few years ago. And it's got the 9 chakra points. It's got the 9 crystals on it from all of the chakra points at each corner. And it's powerful. When I first put it on, I was like, because it's on a piece of moonstone, like a wire piece on a moonstone, and I had to take it off after 20 minutes. It was so intense, right? I can wear it all day now, but when I first had it, I was like, whoa.
You had to get your fitness up for it. Yeah,
right. Yeah. So yeah, that's just an interesting thing that I always sort of forget, you know. And it's only when I sort of pick up my own book that I remember that happened to me. Right.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. So so you've got books. What's this subscription? And tell us about
the yes, I do a monthly subscription box for people currently only in the UK, and it's the Calm Up box. So it's a monthly box of goodies delivered to your home each month, and I choose a book. So I choose a book to do with self-development or self-care or self-love. It has a book in it, it has a crystal, it has some skincare, it has some oils or incense. It's basically for the 5 senses.
How much is it?
It's £25 a month. You can join for as long as you want. you know, or if you just want a one-off, if you're like, I just want to get it for 1 month, it's £28 just for
1 month.
a one-time box, or you can sign up and get a subscription.
Lovely.
And I love it. It's one of the things I really love to do each month, is to put together the box, you know.
That's really sweet. Yeah.
Yeah, and what goes in it, and the people that get it really love that surprise, because you don't know what's coming in the box. It's like a surprise each month.
That's really cute.
Yeah.
Any other offerings that you have? So you've got 2 books. We've seen your 2 books, and you've got your monthly subscription. That's all the offerings you've got. Is that right?
I have a few odd things on my website, so you can.
What's your website? Would you like to tell us how to get a hold of you?
Yes, so my website is samlivermore.com. I do a weekly newsletter where I talk about tips for calm, you know, ways to activate your calm in your life. I've got some free resources on there for people, free meditation, etc., you know, some calm resources, things about crystals. Yeah, and a few small sort of paid offers that are on there, you know, just like little email courses and whatever, you know, low price.
Lovely.
So, but yeah.
So that's what it's samlivermore.com. And what's your Instagram and your Facebook?
So it is Sam Gladiator of Love. If you go to my website, it links to that anyway. So
everything's going to be in the description anyway. So that's fine. We'll put everything there.
I'm mostly on Instagram as Sam Gladiator of Love. Yeah, I'm not really.
And YouTube. Well, YouTube for my videos and Instagram for my daily stuff. Lovely. Okay. Is there anything that you would like to add that we haven't yet spoken about?
No, I don't think so. I think the main thing is just to encourage people to write a letter to a stranger and see how it makes you feel.
Yeah.
You know?
Try 5. See how 5 makes you feel.
Yeah.
You know, because also I think people who are struggling with health find it's like there's a vibrational thing about this as well. Like anger or grief or sadness or pain or sorrow, they all have a certain vibration, and love has a really high vibration, and they've got all horrible deep, you know, low vibrations. So when you raise yourself up to write a positive message to a stranger, and sometimes it's easier to be kind to others than to oneself, then when you can do that, then it's going to raise your frequency up bit by bit, which is going to improve your health and your general well-being. So honestly, writing a love letter to a stranger is, you know, something which is going to be very, very beneficial to people's health. So I do very much encourage this, encourage it. And I think it's a brilliant idea. I truly do.
With no agenda, you know, that's the thing. There's no agenda around it.
Yeah, no agenda, doing it. See, I have the motto, like, you know, see an opportunity to help and take it. Like I got that very much ingrained in my psyche. See an opportunity to be kind, see an opportunity to help and take it. And it can be in the most silly, mundane ways. Like, I don't know, someone just, where was I a minute ago? Someone dropped a piece of paper a minute ago when I was out the house, and I just immediately bend down and you pick up the piece of paper and you hand it to people. It's a nothing, but it's just seeing an opportunity to be kind and taking it. If you see someone struggling with a suitcase and helping them carry that up the stairs, like letting people out at junctions, like daily little things like that, which actually are very good for your mental health, just being kind to others and being in a caring position. But every time you have the opportunity to, and that pays it forwards, because then another person was kind. And if we all do kindnesses to one another, then the world just becomes so much more elevated, because it captures it. It's contagious. Kindness is contagious. So really, it makes a huge difference. And also, it makes you feel much better. We're not doing it because of that, but the act of giving in some way is always nourishing. You always feel good when you're not doing it from a place of agenda. If you just, and this is not something which is going to cost more than time, a piece of paper and a tiny bit of ink. You know, we've all got bits of paper. This is not something, you know, which is expensive. And if people want to write love letters or beautiful encouragement letters to their friends, they can. But, you know, maybe that feels a bit more personal, and maybe it's a stage 2, depending where you are. But certainly just writing random letters and leaving them in the supermarket is such a beautiful thing to do, and such a positive thing to do to help anyone else. So I really commend you for it. And I think it's a really beautiful thing. And I truly do encourage anyone watching this video to do the same, because it's just a thing of beauty, and it's spreading more beauty into the world. Why wouldn't you want to do that? More love, more beauty.
Yeah, exactly. Why wouldn't we want to do that? Yeah.
Especially if you're feeling low. Like especially if you're feeling low, if you are in sickness or pain, do it.
It takes your mind away from it. If you're focusing on that,
it gets you out of your own stuff and your own ego and your own, because the thing, ego is really about really focusing on the self and making yourself the most important thing. And when you become the most important thing of your universe, you are lost. If you become God in your own psyche, you are done for. And it doesn't matter if what God you believe in, but there needs to be something bigger than you. And that can be community, or it can be a higher being, or divinity, or the universe, or Mother Earth, or whatever. But there has to be something more important than the self. And when you become the center of your universe, that's when mental health and physical health goes out the water. It really, really does. If we're just sitting there and just really stuck in our own horrible feelings about things, that will trigger diseases. There's no way around it. The more we are focused on the difficult time we've had in the past, the sicker we become. So to turn that around in a free way and an easy way, just by being kind to others. And this is just a beautiful way to be doing things. So I think it's really cool. So any last final words of wisdom, Sam?
No.
Write everyone a letter. Love letters all around.
Just write a letter. Write a letter. You know, even if you think, I don't know what I'm going to say, what am I supposed to say? The thing I always say to people when they don't know what to write, think about, what would you like someone to say to you?
Yeah,
that's always the starting point. Yeah.
What would you like to hear?
Yeah.
And, you know, and it can be as simple as, you are loved.
Yeah. Yeah. And it doesn't have to be some really long prose. It can be really short. It can be a few lines.
You are beautiful. You are loved.
Yeah.
You know, you are appreciated. Like, even if you want to start basic, those 3 will mean the world to somebody. And you just write that, even if you don't really see it or feel it, or you don't really get it at the moment, just write, you know, those 3 things and leave it somewhere. I mean, obviously you're leaving it in shops, I'm assuming, because of British weather, largely, because otherwise it might get
it's going to get,
you know, or in train stations. You obviously want to leave it somewhere where it's not going to get rained upon.
Yeah, I mean, we do leave it on public transport. We leave it in, you know, train stations, bus stations, on the tube.
Sure.
You know, one of our favourites, especially Molly, this is one of her favourites, is, you know, on a bus stop, on the posters on a bus stop. If you can find a poster that's got like a hand or pointing at something, she blue ticks it on there so it looks like the person's holding a letter or pointing at a letter. She's the master at that.
That's so cute.
Yeah.
That's so cute. Yeah.
So we leave them in so many different places. I mean, in the nicer weather, we know it's not going to rain. I do leave them in the park, you know, blue tack it to a bench or pin it to a tree. You know, but the majority,
I just think it's just, I mean, and even having it like a Saturday or something and going on a mission and, you know, writing 5 letters and going, right, where are we going to go and post these, and have a couple of friends together and then just decide, let's go here, sticking it here. Like, it's quite a fun, playful little mission that people can be doing as well.
Absolutely.
There's a lot of joy in that, just the camaraderie of it as well. And it's kind of being a little bit mischief, but in the most positive, mischievous in the most positive way.
Right. Yeah. When we go out as a group to put them out, it's always so exciting. because we're like constantly looking for places to leave
Secret
them.
little hidey holes.
Yeah, and you know, when you spot one, you know, one of you is trying to do it without being noticed, and another person's sort of trying to sort of cause a distraction.
It's almost like an Easter egg hunt, almost, isn't it? Like planting Easter eggs for an Easter egg hunt, and then people finding them. And I bet it's, you know, at the very least, it's going to put a smile on someone's face. And what more can you know, that's just the most wonderful thing, just to spread love.
Yeah, exactly that. So that is my message, just to, you know, give it a go, see how you feel.
I love it. Wonderful, wonderful. Okay, so all your details are going to be below. So thank you everybody for watching, and what a beautiful, inspiring show. Thank you so much, Sam.
Thank you.